and welcome to The Gray Area, where I give interviews with developers, talk about gaming news and reviews, and focus on the interrelationships between gamers. My name is Genesee Gray, and this is the 75th episode in a weekly series called Stop Sexism in Video Games. Here with me is Krista Hauser from Fifth Column Games, Victoria Cooper, member of HTL, Joe Peacock, blogger and author, and Elizabeth Sang, fellow gamer. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I commend your bravery for tackling this tough issue. Last week's episode was a discussion with Chris Fire Scott from Chocolate Lemon and 8-Bit about EVO and competitive gaming. Please visit www.genesee.com to add to the forum discussion on that topic and to tell me your story. Today is Wednesday, August 1st, and we are going to discuss misogyny and sexism in gaming, and also a welcome to the chat room. So this is a roundtable discussion. We're going to use some main stories to illustrate our point and provide topics for discussion. So we're going to start with one that most people know about, which isn't really all about gaming, but she does cover that topic as well. So I'm going to ask Victoria to start with our first story and give us some background on that. So Victoria.
Okay, so Anita Sarkeesian kind of brings, I don't know, what I kind of regard as sort of a scholarly analysis to the mainstream in a way that's not boring. So I first saw Tropes vs. Women on YouTube, where she has a channel, and she used it for to kind of explain some of the tropes and motifs that recur in portrayals of women that are kind of negative. They sort of propagate negative ideas, negative sort of portrayals, and they keep going because they've become so ingrained in the way we portray women, the way women are seen in the media, that kind of thing, that it just keeps going, and people kind of they let it wash over them and don't see how it might be affecting our understanding of women and femininity and what all of that entails. So she started a Kickstarter funding thingy to raise money for her new project, which is Tropes vs. Women in Video Games. And she raised $160,000 almost, got almost 7,000 backers, and well, swore then, a storm of chaos rained down upon her. It was horrendous. So the thing is that she had all these people who wanted to see the show that she's going to produce, you know, these 7,000 people, but she also had this kind of swarm of people who were angry at her, and I feel like it probably people who think she's trying to blame men or kind of stir the pot for the sake of it to get fame or something, you know, kind of along those lines. And basically some of the harassment she suffered, kind of internet harassment that's kind of funny, you know, she was given little captions in the kind of typical internet meme way. And I kind of see that as satire. It's a bit silly, you know. But then it got worse and worse, and it got to the point where they were drawing cartoons of Anita being raped by video game characters like Mario, or being tied up in controller wires and being raped. They put hardcore porn on her Wikipedia page, they emailed it to her, put it on her Facebook, and finally I think the kind of crowning moment of this horrendous behaviour was the Beat Up Anita Sarkeesian game, where you could click to punch her and she would grow progressively more and more beaten up. And like when I looked at it, it looked like the posters or the adverts that you'd see for domestic violence, you know, stop domestic abuse. Yeah, and it's the first thing that jumps to my head. So when I read, like, it's the Beat Up Anita game, I was horrified and upset, you know, frightened that she just kind of, she just demonstrated some things. She hadn't really said anything that I found that controversial, and that is the kind of backlash she suffered. So that's what's been going on with Anita, and she's a trooper, and she hasn't given up, and she's kind of making public all of the stuff she receives, and I think it's important to do that and not just go quiet or give up or anything like that. And I'm quite horrified by the entire sham that is this harassment case. So.
What do you guys think about that? Any opinions you want to share? Otherwise, I think you did a good job describing that, Victoria. Definitely so.
Totally. Yeah, I was going to say that when I first saw this Let's Eat Up in Sarkeesian game come out, I was stunned and horrified, because the last thing we need to do, given the current political realities surrounding women right now, is incentivize any kind of violence against women. That seems like an obvious bad idea. And trying to couch it under some kind of terms of equal treatment, it seems ridiculous. It's a straw man, clearly, and it's not logical.
Well, considering the point of the Kickstarter project, itself, it seems like her point was very proven by all this negative commentary and all the reaction and everybody acting like a child about the whole thing. Yeah, clearly the project's needed and not making some people happy. So you've got to wonder. I didn't realize there were quite that many people that had an opinion about it until suddenly they were all there.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about some of those themes with the other stories as well, but that, I think, is one of the ones most recently that I feel is extreme. But I'm glad the Kickstarter project was funded, so hopefully we'll have to hear where she goes from there.
It's really sad that people feel like they can just, I hear that a lot, that people are kind of abused on the internet, especially women, because there's no face behind it, because they think they can get away with it, because, it's not in person. But it's really sad that is a constant theme.
But it just kind of reiterates this kind of culture of abuse. I think we have unwittingly fostered a culture of abuse on the internet where, the line between freedom of speech and being a jerk is completely blurred. It's not there. There's no line anymore. And the moment you say, dude, you can't say that, they kind of cry, I'm free to say whatever I like, especially on the internet where there's no ramification of that's rude or impolite or illegal, what you're doing. In real life, it would just never happen, and I hate that kind of common decency and a sense of social morality and all those kind of things that come naturally to most people in real life are not just lost on the internet, but almost disapproved of. It's like you don't have to, and it's your right not to have to. And I think that's one of the most shocking things that's come out of this. Not just what the lengths people are willing to go to, but how far people are willing to defend going to those lengths, as if it's their right to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, something about this that I thought was kind of interesting is that you're right. It proves that there isn't really like common courtesy on the internet anymore, and you wonder some of the solutions that people are going to offer for this. And I'm sure Elizabeth's going to probably cover that toward the end. Some people are saying from now on maybe anonymity should be something that should be taken away from people in certain platforms, and that'll be something I'd like to address a little later toward the end of solutions. But let's move to our next story. Looks like Joe might have dropped out from us, so we're going to jump to me. Aisha Tyler, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, someone that I personally love so much because she plays Lana Kane on Archer. You may know her. She hosted E3 2012 this year, and she was chosen by Ubisoft to present the E3 press conference. Afterwards, she received a huge barrage of abuse from gamers who felt like she knew nothing about the subject matter, basically because she was pretty and female. And one of the worst reported was, quote, "This is what happens when you let Jews and liberals infect your industry to inject diversity and progress. Don't let them kill our games." And her Facebook response to all this has been kind of an internet sensation and brought a lot of people to her Facebook page. Interestingly enough, this has created kind of a sub-community on her Facebook page, especially for girl gamers and other people who feel as she did. And what she said, quote, is, "I go to E3 each year because I love video games, because new titles still get me high, because I still love getting swag, love wearing my gamer pride on my sleeve. People ask me what console I play. Motherfucker, all of them." So that was her response to that. And something similar, I thought this was interesting because E3 has kind of a trend happening. In 2007, the same thing happened with Ubisoft producer Jade Raymond. She was at the E3 press conference. She introduced Assassin's Creed, and she got a lot of nasty sexist comments after she was finished. Countless comments basically questioning her involvement with the production of the game and saying that she was eye candy and couldn't possibly have any contributions other than her physical beauty. there was even an internet comic made showing women in a variety of pornographic situations with other gamers. So thoughts, I guess, from you guys on why they couldn't just be congratulated on doing their job or maybe criticized for their performance if people didn't like it. Why do you think people attacked them going there, like going right to the women card and not for their performance? Because I could understand if you felt they didn't do a good job and you wanted to discuss that as a person, but why go right to the card of, oh, well, she can't possibly know anything because she's a woman or because she's pretty? Like they're exclusive. Pretty, stupid, you know. What do you guys think about that?
It's easy, isn't it? It's just really easy, you know. The easiest way to attack someone is to find out what others them from you. If you're a guy, okay, they're a woman, and because that's different, then that's the scary unknown. That must be what makes them weak, and you can find it everywhere. If you're white, you can say they're black, and that's the problem. Or, you know, if you're English, you can say they're American, and that's the problem. It's just so easy, and especially in a male-dominated environment, it's so easy to pick on the fact that they're women. And because it's almost okay, I think, to pick on women and make women jokes, you kind of find the lads ganging up and agreeing and, you know, pulling out the make me a sandwich card, and it's almost normal to do it. And I think some of them don't see or care how badly it affects women they're doing their jobs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I have like a slightly, probably not very popular opinion, but I'm going to go for the obvious one, and that's that I feel like sometimes because of the social stigma that men are better at everything than women, then it's going to boil down to like an inadequacy feeling, like, oh, this girl is better than me. So instead of being like, hey, you're a motherfucking badass, it's like, oh, well, you're a girl, so you're not any good at this because you're better than me and you're making me feel inadequate, and I'm a man and I'm better at it. And it's just easier to attack somebody than it is to just be like, hey, you're more awesome than me. Like, I mean, I made jokes before about like, you know, like deflection. Like I've teased my friends that they kick my ass in a game, and I'll make like a joke, like a deflection, like, oh, you know, you did good because of this. Like you did good because like I don't know, like Left 4 Dead, like, oh, it's raining, I fell off the pole, you know, like, and so I feel like it's like that, but like on a more serious level, and of course, like the social stigma for gender bias, like men are better at everything than women, and society kind of makes it easy to use that as an excuse.
Well, and we're conditioned to accept that from childhood, right? Got beaten by a girl, that's really bad. That's even worse than just getting beaten, right? Yeah, it's something that we're sort of culturally taught to accept as being the worst thing. If a woman is good at what she does, they're certainly not considered equals.
And better than you.
That's unacceptable.
And it's ingrained within the language of the internet. You know, if you lose, you cry like a bitch, which is just really common. You know, you fight like a girl. It's always like that. It's not like you fight like, you know, you have absolutely no upper body strength. No, you fight like a girl, because girls are weak and they can't fight. They suck.
Right. Well, you have to wonder. I'm wondering. I mean, most of the guys that I know play female characters, and universally, men love to play female characters, and they'll tell you it's because they prefer to watch a girl's butt rather than their own or whatever. But you have to say, at least I do, the more games I play with female characters, the more I feel like, wow, look at this girl, she's kicking butt, I'm being this girl, and I'm shooting everything, and I'm doing well, and have some admiration for your character and some attachment to your character. And you have to wonder, if you're a guy playing a girl character, would that not encourage you to look at women and say, wow, my character is amazing and I'm attached to her, and transfer that respect somehow to women in general? I'm always, interested that it seems like that doesn't ever transfer. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?